There's a big problem with Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. No one is talking about it. In this video, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, why it's such a problem, and how WWE can fix it. Because we are on the verge of seeing Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley battle it out, bad blood, in a very interesting stipulation. Dominic Mysterio, he's going to be in a Shark Tank, hanging above the ring, next to the ring, something like that. And it's going to prevent him from getting involved. Or at least that's the mindset, right? Because it was Dominic Mysterio who helped Liv Morgan win the Women's Championship from Becky Lynch earlier this year at King and Queen of the Ring PLE. It was Dominic Mysterio that helped Liv Morgan retain her championship over Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam. And it was Dominic Mysterio who cost Liv Morgan the mixed tag team match against Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest at Bash in Berlin. So let's get into it. What is this big problem that WWE, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, all the fans, they are dealing with? Well, it's very simple. This title feud is surely between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Shocker. WWE, they're investing in its women's tag team division right now, and that's a good thing. But there's also a problem to that, because as much as we want to see women's tag team wrestling evolve and get better, you have to pull talent from the singles division. Well, there aren't other major women's storylines happening right now for WWE fans to buy into. And when it comes to the men's division in WWE, Triple H, he's consistently building talent so they're ready to jump into big storylines. Think of the likes of Chad Gable. He's got a compelling character. Sheamus, Pete Dunne. They have a great storyline going on, and obviously Bronson Reed is being showcased as a monster, feuding with the likes of Braun Strowman and now Seth Rollins. So WWE, they could be using its women's division to have a plug-and-play where you take A and B talent and you put them into a feud. That way they're plugged into the title feud. And that's a problem, because Triple H, he's focusing on building up wrestlers that the women aren't. You have to have people ready to feud with Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. That's not the case. Now, of course, there are other women's segment and matches on the show. That's not the problem. It's getting the same attention as Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan? I don't think so. It's just, well, we need a segment. Let's just put this talent in here and go from there. There are no other women that are being built up as future contenders. Unfortunately, that's a problem, because WWE's biggest problem with the storyline is there's no obvious opponent forever who wins this. Now, personally, I've gone with the idea that I think WWE should have a trilogy bout. So we had the first one at SummerSlam. We're about to have the second one at Bad Blood, and you can kind of pick and choose whenever you want this third match to happen. Whether it is at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, whether it is Survivor Series in November, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, the list goes on. Ideally, a WrestleMania match would be fantastic, but that's probably not likely. So now you have to look at it as, let's say this feud ends at Bad Blood, where does WWE go from there? There is no sight of who could step up. And more importantly, it's not about just who can step up, it's who can realistically stand up to the champion and have a realistic and a meaningful way of challenging them and being built up to the point where you actually think they can dethrone the champion. Unfortunately, WWE's creative team, they haven't placed enough focus on other women on the roster. While, yes, they have given the likes of Lyra Valkyria a shot, do you really buy her as the next champion? I don't. And even if you make the argument of, well, of course they're going to go to a trilogy. You don't need a title contender right this second. Look at the men's division. You know that they can pull this talent up or this talent up, and boom, you have a title feud, right? Like, look at Gunther, World Heavyweight Champion. If you need a worthy title contender, you have the likes of Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed and Sheamus and Seth Rollins, right? Jey Uso, Braun Breaker. There's so many talents. Name a few. Now, I'm not just saying name a wrestler. I'm saying name someone that is ready for the spot, who has done something meaningful on television that makes you think, yes, they deserve a championship opportunity. It's one of WWE's biggest problems when it comes across the entire women's division. The company often puts a focus on just the storylines that involve titles, yet they neglect the rest of the roster, which stops them from being built up to the point where they can feel important and therefore can challenge for the championships. That's a problem. That's something in which they have to fix. Because I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, it's a big freaking deal with two extremely talented women who deserve better. I don't care who wins, who loses this feud. Whoever walks out as women's champion after this feud, hey, hats off to you. I expect it to be Rhea Ripley because Liv Morgan has had the title for so long, right? Multiple months. Rhea, she never lost the title technically. She had to vacate it due to an injury because of Liv Morgan. I mean, this storyline writes itself. It's so good. But let's just say Rhea Ripley wins the championship at Bad Blood, okay? Let's just say they go on to a third match down the line, pick a day and date. So, she's a champion coming out. She's going to need a title contender. And, oh, by the way, Liv Morgan's going to need to do something because Liv Morgan is in a very, very different spot right now in her career. And it's a beautiful thing because Liv Morgan, she's a main eventer. She's a top-tier talent. There's a reason why she's been booked in the segments and the matches and the storylines in which she has throughout the last 6 months. She has changed the game. She's changed her status within the company. And so you're going to need something big for her to come out of. And more importantly, and this is my hope, you look at what they've done with Damian Priest. He lost the World Heavyweight title to Gunther, but now he's into a feud with Finn Balor. He's going to win that feud. He's going to get his ultimate revenge. Let's say Liv Morgan loses this feud. She's going to need someone to beat. She's going to need to build up momentum again. Let's say Rhea Ripley loses. She doesn't win the championship. She's going to need someone to beat. She's going to need someone to feud with, right? So if Triple H says, okay, this talent is good enough to be built up on the men's side, well, guess what, Triple H? You're going to have to